So now y'all come into my kitchen. This is Cooking Today. Hi, welcome to Cooking Today. Happy almost New Year. Y'all, what a year. Hasn't it been so great? I hope that you just can look back and feel so blessed and think about all the things that you have been given and that you've celebrated and even the hard things that have made you a better person, have grown your character and increased your heart. Today is my last episode ever of Cooking Today. 2 years in, y'all. It has been so much fun. I never in my life dreamed I would cook on television. I'm a mom, and this is my kitchen, and all of this is set up in my house. It never even crossed my mind that this would even be something I would ever get to do, and it's been a real treat. And seeing you guys out and around has just been wonderful. I love that you're cooking my food. I love that you've bought the cookbook and that these recipes are becoming parts of your world at home. I love it. So thank you for all of this time with you. It's just been a treat for me. What we thought would be really fun is to make my last episode an encore of my first episode, which was shrimp and grits. And it's just a signature recipe that's in my book. People make it an awful lot. I hear everybody tell me it's a really easy version, but it's got a lot of flavor, good ingredients. And so I thought it would be really fun to make that one today. I'll have to actually go back and watch the first one because I haven't seen it in 2 years and see what I've done a little bit differently or if I've improved. It would almost be like a scorecard, wouldn't it? Like a report card. You got better, you got worse. Who knows? Anyway, let's get going. We've got a lot of steps, a lot of steps. P.S. If you watch back and you think I got worse, I don't want to know. Don't tell me, because I don't want to know. It's been fun, and that's what matters, right? Okay, what we have is a whole bunch, a pound of jumbo shrimp with the large, extra large, whatever you want, shell off, tails on, thawed, and then I have it draining, kind of patted out some of the water from when they thawed and put them on a paper towel lined tray, and then I kind of sopped out, pressed out some of the water because it's going to brown up a little bit better in my little cast iron over here if they're dry. Then I just took a Cajun seasoning, whatever is your favorite Creole seasoning, and then just dusted them a little bit in that, and we're going to put them in a tablespoon of oil and a tablespoon of butter. And I'm just going to lay them in here, and they're going to saute pretty quick, y'all. I'm going to lay them on one side, and then we're going to lay them on the other side. Here's another thing, too. If these are real wet with moisture, when the water hits that pan and there's some oil in there, it's going to spit at you, and you're going to be really sad about it. So make sure that they're, pretty dry. So I'm laying these in there with the seasoning side down. And then they're going to cook in just a couple minutes. You're going to see the tails turn kind of a pretty coral peachy color. And then the meat on them is going to get nice and kind of a pretty translucent-y colored, kind of whitish. You don't want to overcook the shrimp because they're just going to kind of get rubbery, so you really want to watch them. So as they're cooking on this side, I'm going to hit them one more time with a little dusting of our Cajun seasoning. And then I've got tongs. And all I'm going to do is just flip them over real quick. Easy as that. Get a little bit of color. That's pretty. Shrimp are some of the greatest things ever to keep in your freezer, guys, because you can cook them in 5 seconds. They go in tacos, they go in pasta, they go over grits. They go on just about anything, and so they are handy to have. And I like to leave the shells on, or not the shells on. I like to leave the tails on. I think they're pretty. And I think that that color is lovely, and then it's just a little bit tactile. You can kind of pick one up and eat one and dip with your spoon and a little bit of crusty bread. So I really like to keep them on. And there's always a little bit more flavor when you cook meat on the bone or when you leave these shells on, the tails. Okay, we're gonna let those go for just a couple minutes. Then, what I have waiting in the wings is a tray, just a little tray with some foil, because we're gonna let these finish on this side and we're gonna scoop them out and put them on this tray and then just kind of cover them loosely with foil so that they'll kind of stay warm. And then we have this delicious sauce that we're making with these peppers and onions and garlic, and we've got grits that we've got to get going as well. And so all I'm gonna do for my grits, this is so easy, we're gonna get this to a boil, is 2 cups of whole milk, 2 cups of water, and a stick of butter. And we're gonna just let that kind of start coming to a boil and let that butter melt. And then when we come back, we're gonna start on our good sauce. This is cooking today. One of these pieces that's inside is the clove. The whole thing is not a clove, that's a head. So if it says a clove of garlic, don't use that whole entire thing because nobody will want to sleep in your bedroom with you for the next. Can I say that? Hi, welcome back. We have just sauteed off our shrimp. It's beautiful, it's golden. There's a little tiny bit of like brown crispy bites on the outside. Some of that butter does that because it gets golden. And then we hit it with some of that good Creole seasoning that's just so good, any kind that you want. And we have our whole milk and water and a stick of butter going in this pot over here to the side. And we're gonna let that come to our boil. And we're just gonna kind of watch that before we stir in our grits. Now, we have moved our shrimp over to our tray, and then I have 6 pieces of bacon that I just chopped up, and we're putting it right into this pan where we cooked our shrimp. So I'm going to just let that kind of saute. We want that to be really crisp, and we want that fat to kind of render out, and then we are going to save the fat like every good Southern cooking show does. We would never throw that out. There's flavor in there. And so we are going to let that just cook down. We're going to scoop that out in just a couple of minutes once that bacon gets crisp. And then we are going to saute our veggies. Now, what we have that's going in this sauce is a red onion, a yellow onion. I use a sweet onion. Oh wait, red pepper, yellow pepper, sweet onion. So if y'all are grading, I messed that one up, didn't I? You knew what I meant. I have cut around the outs, cut off the outsides to get the good flesh off, and then I'm making them into these little strips. Cutting them into these little strips, and then we're just going to chop them. You don't want them to be so fine that they are going to just kind of come apart and turn into mush in our sauce. We want it to have a good little kind of toothy bite, and we're not going to cook them down till they're squishy. How's that? Squishy. But we want them to have like the way you would cook pasta, al dente, if you will. Just a little bit tender, just the littlest bit. And we're going to cook these in that reserved bacon fat. Doesn't that sound good? Ooh, I'm going to check my grits. Hang on a second. Let me make sure I'm going here. Stir our pot, stir our pot. Okay, here we go. We need to get that boiling. Now you want to bring that milk to a boil, and you really want to watch it, because you don't want your milk to scald. I mean, we want to bring it to a boil, but then we want to get our grits in there pretty quick because your milk will scald. And our bacon, I've stirred it. It's smelling delicious. We're cutting our yellow pepper into little strips and lining them up. I just love shrimp and grits, y'all, especially this time of year when it is cold outside. There is nothing more comforting in a bowl than shrimp and grits. And then another thing too is, post-holiday, You still might want a little something festive, especially maybe even for your new year, or maybe you're having a, you know, your secondary Christmas party, you know, with your family or whatever, something that's kind of postponed. And you want to have something, but you don't want to do turkey and ham again because we've done that multiple times at this point. So this is a really fun bowl of great food that everyone will really like, and it's kind of it's a great party food for a crowd because it's a one bowl wonder. You can scoop it, ladle it, serve it up to your people, and they can carry it around. They don't have to have a plate. They don't have to have a knife and fork. You can do a spoon and a bowl, and they can just walk around with it or sit on the sofa. So it's a really fun one to have maybe for your new year. I really love that. I've even done this same recipe as little like shooters, like little kind of like shot glasses of them, and put them out, like put my grits in the bottom, like with a little scoop, grits in the bottom, a little spoon of the sauce, and a curl or two of shrimp right on top, and set them out. And it's like a little party appetizer. You would want to serve them warm because they taste the best, you know, when it's fresh. But I'm telling you, it was fun, and it felt like a party. And it's just a little bit different than some of your other kind of typical party foods. But it was cute. I felt fancy, and everybody really, really liked it. Let's see, how are we doing over here on my milk? Okay, we're going to get going here. Now, I'm whisking. This is an important thing about your grits. We're whisking, whisking, whisking. And I'm going to watch that. And it is starting to come to a boil. So what we want to do, now let's talk about grits super fast while my bacon is finishing. There is a real stone ground grit. There is a recipe for it in my cookbook. They are really, really hard. They're just a little bit bigger in size. They're legitimate grits. They take longer to cook. They take a lot, they get real creamy and really, really good, and they're delicious. This recipe, I will tell you, part of the beauty of this one is that we're using quick cook grits, not instant. Instant grits taste like baby food. So quick cook grits is what we're using. We're going to stir those into this milk mixture that is now coming to a boil. We're going to scoop out our bacon onto a tray, and when we come back, we're going to whisk those grits in. We're going to stir up this sauce, and it is going to be a dinner for the ages. This is cooking today. But it doesn't take long. You just have to kind of be on it. Whoop, gotta be on it. We're going to have a little cheese dip down inside that stove because I just dropped a block down in there. Hi, welcome back. We are making signature shrimp and grits today. Today is my last episode. It's actually the last of cooking today. Not a new host, but just some new things. Everybody's taken a new turn. We're so excited about it. But we are making signature shrimp and grits because this was my very first episode I ever filmed. So we decided we would do an encore. Isn't that super fun? So if you haven't already made these at home, then you certainly need to try it. I think you will love it. So what we have is we have some shrimp that we dusted in some Cajun seasoning, and then we have sauteed it in our skillet, and it looks beautiful, and we've set it aside. In that same pan, we sauteed some bacon in some little crispy bits, and I have stood over an onion, and I'm like, eyes water, but y'all know that about me. I mean, for years I've had to have Andrew chop my onions for me, my cameraman. But anyway, so no surprises, right, that I'm crying. I watch a lot of Food Network, and they cry too, right? So that's kind of we'll call that a professional move. Anyway, so we crisped the bacon, we removed it from the pan, we kept the bacon fat. And now we are going to slide into our pan with the bacon grease. Oh yes. Our chopped onions and peppers. That sounds delicious. And then we have a little garlic right here that I've chopped as well. But you know, you add your garlic after your peppers and onions because it will burn really, really quickly. So we want to get a little tender on our peppers and onions first before we add our garlic to it. Then in my pot over beside me, ooh, look how pretty that is. Then over here in my pot beside me, I added my grits to my boiling milk, butter, and water. And we just whisk and whisk and whisk and whisk and whisk until they're really, really smooth and creamy. And then to our grits, we're adding a little bit of salt, not a lot, because we're gonna add cheese, and cheese already naturally has a lot of salt. So we're just gonna do a little. And then we can add a little bit of garlic. I think today, this is something new. I've got a little of my Cajun seasoning here. You could add garlic powder, granulated garlic to your grits. I'm gonna do a little bit of our Cajun seasoning. How about that? Kind of continue that flavor into our grits. Just about a teaspoon. Let those get tender. Look at all the things we've got going. And we're gonna stir and stir and stir and stir. Then to our grits. This is the fancy stuff that comes in foil. I am using a mild Mexican loaf of cheese. It melts so smooth. It makes them so creamy. You can absolutely, if you are morally opposed to processed cheese, you go right ahead and you can grate some cheddar, you can put in some Gruyere, you can just do whatever floats your boat. I love this mild Mexican version of this cheese and these grits. It's really good, y'all. So whatever cheese makes your heart happy is what cheese you are welcome to put in there. I am putting in about a pound of cheese in the grits, and it is divine, 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 divine. Okay? So let me check and see. I'm gonna take my foil loaf over to my grits. Oh yes. And then I'm gonna turn this temp way down on these, and we are just going to put our cheese in here, and it's going to just melt, melt, melt down and inside. See, our peppers and onions are looking good. And then, let's see, this is a lot. This is what, okay, this is important, y'all. You need to have all of this out and ready to go. That's just good cooking technique. Everything out, everything pre-measured, everything ready to go. It's called mise en place. It's a fancy word, but you want to have everything ready so that you are not going, oh my goodness, I don't have this ready, I don't have this ready. Because look at a recipe like this with lots and lots of chopping and cooking and sauteing and all of that, you need to have it all ready to go. I'm throwing in my garlic. We're gonna let that stir a little bit for about a minute until you can smell it. I'm going to just let my cheese melt in to my grits. If your grits are looking a little bit thick, like maybe you just don't have everything timed really, really well, and your grits are looking a little bit thick, you can always add a little bit more milk, a little water, a little chicken stock is always a good idea. So now that we've cooked this down, I'm gonna add in a splash of wine and let that cook for a minute. We're gonna add in a little bit of chicken stock, taste for seasoning, and when we come back, we're just gonna put it all together, y'all. Shrimp and grits, did you see how quick and easy that was? When we come back, we're gonna throw it all together. This is cooking today. I actually hosted a shower one time and made these for a shower when I did kind of a southern spread. And I turned the corner and there was a really nice lady in a really nice dress, and she was in that thing and she was like running her finger around the inside of the dish and licking her finger to get the very last bit of these garlic cheese grits off that dish. So that's not testimony enough. I don't know what is. Hi, welcome back. Y'all, we're just wrapping up signature shrimp and grits. We let that cheese melt into our creamy grits. I added in some jalapeno juice. Isn't that delicious? Doesn't that sound good? You can even chop some up. If you want to chop them and put them in your grits, you just go right ahead or right on top of all of this deliciousness. I'm spreading my grits into a shallow bowl and setting that right there. And then we have our sauce. Look, our sauce is cooked down. We tasted as we went. I added a little bit more Cajun seasoning. I'm taking my shrimp that stayed nice and warm in the pan and adding that in, a little squirt of lemon, and then we're just gonna ladle this right on top. Top it with our crumbled bacon, some green onions, and calling it a day. It's a delicious dish, and that is gonna do it for me. This has been the biggest treat of my life. I love spending my days with you, and I am so tickled to pieces that these recipes have become part of your home. I love that you're making them. I love that you're enjoying your time with your family over these dishes. The treat's been mine. I hope you'll try all of them at home. Hope they'll become part of your family forever. Love every bite. This is Cooking Today.